Good morning. Welcome to part 5 of my Divine Feminine Awakening series. If you are new to this series, this is for anyone who is seeing signs and synchronicities in their life, repeating numbers, finding twin flames, thinking you're a starseed, anything like that. This is for you. So in the last few videos, we have talked about some of the history of women's spirituality. We talked in the last video about mind, body, spirit, wellness, meditation, and yoga. And another thing that I think is so important is noticing those coincidences all around you, because coincidence is never a coincidence. They are signs from the universe pointing where you're supposed to go. Like if there's ever been a friend that you were thinking about and out of the blue they call you, or if there's a song that's going through your head and you get in the car and it's on the radio, any of those are synchronicities, as well as are repeating number patterns like 111, 222, 333, anything like that. And those are all what's called angel numbers, and I will get into that in a future video. But learning to notice all those synchronicities, that is thing number one. Because like I said, they are signs that are pointing you what you're supposed to do. And a book that I found really, really helpful in learning this in my own life was The Celestine Prophecy. And it talks about how to follow the pathway of coincidences that leads you where you're supposed to go. Because a lot of times on the spiritual path, you have to have so much trust in yourself, trust in the universe, trust in the divine to guide you. Because if you don't trust, you're just going to be stopped, paralyzed by fear. Because a lot of times you can only see 1 to 2 steps ahead on what you're supposed to do. You don't see where's the final goal that you're supposed to go to. You don't know where this dark forest path that you're on is leading. And you just have to trust that if you take those 1 or 2 next steps, that the step after that is going to be revealed. It's kind of like actually Anna in the second Frozen movie, where they tell her, just do the next right thing. But they're teaching actually kind of some spirituality things entwined in those movies too. I mean, the whole Let It Go song and holding your power inside. If you hold your power inside too long, boom, it's going to explode. Spirituality can be like that too. So it's interesting how Disney put that into Frozen. Sorry, weird tangent. I have small kids. But learning to follow those synchronicities in your life actually is what has led me here to making these videos, because I started blogging back in 2021 as a motherhood blogger, talking about well-rounded wellness for moms and kids, because as a mom myself, I really think that women have a lot on their plate, and trying to lessen that and trying to find strategies to work through that is extremely important. And a lot of that can be done through good health, spirituality, nutrition, things like that. And while I was writing, I moved to Germany from the US, and we were unpacking all these boxes, and I had found my book, The Celestine Prophecy, again. So I decided I was going to read it, and I'm like, okay, it's time for me to follow my own pathway of coincidences to find where I'm supposed to go in this new life, in this completely new country, right? And then my partner was going through another box, and he happened to find my certification, where I was certified way back in like 2006 as a minister of the Universal Life Church. And I was like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to return to this mission of spirituality, because I really do feel like personally I have a spiritual mission, and I felt that way since I was like 16 years old, and I've been trying to find a way to get that across, because especially as a woman, it's very difficult to get into any kind of leadership roles within, well, I was back then in the Christian faith, so take that or leave it. But I think within other types of spirituality, there is a lot more room for women within Buddhism, Hinduism, paganism, New Age, Law of Attraction, Lucky Girl Syndrome. There are so many more avenues open to us as women to discover our spirituality. And the more you learn about them, you can find what is going to be the right individual path for you, because what is right for me is not necessarily going to be right for you. A lot of people I've heard try to do meditation. They can't meditate. It's frustrating. It makes them feel like they're revisiting trauma experiences, which, as someone who's been through trauma, like, I have never had that in a meditation. Actually, I find meditation to be very peaceful, but whatever works for you. So following those signs is a really good way to discover your path, because when the universe speaks to you, it's not always speaking to you in words. It's not whispering in your ear telling you what to do, at least not at first, because you have to tune in your intuition a lot more before you are getting what I would call direct, explicit instructions from like your spirit guides or your angels or whatever you believe in with regard to that. At first, what you're seeing is those signs and synchronicities and coincidences that turn out to not be a coincidence at all, or a chance remark from a stranger, or somebody saying, oh, I read this book, it was so good, maybe you should read it too. And then just where it leads you, and seeing a lot of where that path takes you can be an adventure that makes your life something so different than what you thought. So for me, I originally had started blogging as a motherhood blogger, and I kind of have stepped away from that quite a bit recently. Well, like 2 years ago, that's not that recently. And I talk mostly on my blog now about spirituality, because that's where my heart is at. That's where my focus is at. My word of the year 2 years ago was spirituality, because I wanted to go return to my own spirituality. I have found a bunch of like Buddha decorations around my house that I have in my meditation room. I also have my little altar here set up that you guys can see. I have my goddess Isis with her wings, because I very much resonate with angels. And throughout history, there are a lot of what I would call ancient angels. If you look at Egypt with Isis or Sumer, they have a lot of pictures that you can see in their history that has winged beings talking to people. So there's a lot of this like ancient aliens, ancient angels, star seeds, and I really do think that a lot of what we're seeing now, sorry, my camera, is starseeds coming into this world at an incredible rate, because we really are at a pivotal moment in time. And so there are a lot more those of us who have been in this world for a long time, and also new souls from other realms coming in to assist the earth in what a lot of people are calling the ascension of 3D to 5D, which I think is a weird term, but regardless. So a lot of new souls are in this earth in the first time, and so a lot of guidance is needed on how to function as a spiritual being in this earth, because if you are not experienced with life on earth, life on other planes is very different. So just integrating yourself and your spiritual and your physical and bringing those two together. And a lot of that is aligning through your heart chakra, aligning through meditation, mindfulness, yoga, spending time outside in nature, and just finding what works for you. So a lot of what I have found useful as well is journaling things out. And I write something for myself every day in addition to being a writer that I publish. I used to do morning pages for a long time, and just first thing in the morning, sit down, write my 3 pages, stream of consciousness, and get it out there. And that's where a lot of really good ideas come from. And that's also how I write when I write poetry too. I just am raw emotions, stream of consciousness, and just write and write and write and write. And a lot of those, like, I would just write until, like, I start off and I'm like hurting and questioning, and by the end I've looped around and answered my own question and found hope. So there are so many spiritual practices out there that can help you. My time's almost up, so I will see you in the next video.